My story starts pretty young. I think Space Camp officially stood up back in like 2000, what was it, 18, 19? Somewhere around that time. Me at the time was working in a software factory, trying to stand up a software factory and going through the motions and like not really knowing what we were doing and what we were building. And so, we were frustrated because we had gone like a year and tried to build out something similar to a software factory and we were just failing. We didn't have, I would say, the knowledge or the culture and we didn't have any of the information that we needed to be successful. It's funny, we tell a story. I was sitting in my cubicle in San Antonio, Texas, my first duty assignment as an acquisitions officer. But we came across this article on the internet and it was like, Space Camp, Dr. Roper visits Space Camp. I reach over to my captain at the time, my supervisor. Hey sir, we should probably check them out. They seem like they have their stuff together and they know what they're doing. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I literally went into the global and I looked up Jeff McCoy and I cold called him that day. It was like a Monday. And I was like, hey Jeff, we're trying to do this thing down here in San Antonio and we haven't really been that successful. We don't really know what we're doing. And he's like, yeah man, we've done it before, we're doing it now. If you guys wanna take a look, come on up. And we spent an entire day with Rob Slaughter, Jeff McCoy, Matt Houston. And we were like, man, these guys know what they're doing. This is exactly what we should have been doing a year ago. From there, the relationship just spawned and we formed Platform One from that initial meeting. And then, we went on to form some huge relationships with the chief software officer at the time in the innovation system of what was the software factory. The writing was on the wall that I was going to leave San Antonio and I had just joined the Space Force. Space Camp came up and they're like, hey, we need acquisition professionals. We need some people to come help out. I was fortunate to get the phone call and an interview at the time with General Kreider, and she was like, hey, I understand you currently have an assignment to Vandenberg, but I think you'd be a better fit for what we're doing at Space Camp. Transferred from Vandenberg to Space Camp, and so I was very grateful. And so I wanted to be a part of digital transformation, the whole acquisition reform, and being a part of an organization that I knew the culture fit because I've already experienced it. The founders of Space Camp, I still to this day, we're great friends. We have conversations all the time. I hold them in very high regard. Being a part of something like that it's just been a huge experience in my life. Having the opportunity to come here for the last 2 years was really cool. The proudest moment for me is probably going to be the relationships and the partnerships that we've established over these past 2 years. And working on the partnerships, right? We'd already done the charter with Space Operations Command when I got here. Through that time that I was here, we had things like the Software Coalition that was formed. Multiple organizations and personnel come out and join that, which is a huge movement, I think, in the DoD that needs to happen. And then also the recent partnership that was announced with the Chief Technology and Innovation Office, CTIO, and what we're doing with the Gravity platform. So I think onboarding the Gravity platform and then establishing those partnerships and relationships to make sure that the future of Space Camp is successful was probably some of my proudest moments. I think from my perspective, Space Camp is absolutely on the right track. Whenever you go somewhere and you join an organization, you're a part of it, you want to leave it better than whenever you got there, right? So I think with the strategic partnerships that we've formed and some of the customer resourcing and funding that we're going to be having coming in the future, especially as Gravity is more established and we start working through the ATO process, Space Camp absolutely is going to thrive, eventually start to scale. And scaling is very hard, and believe me, this is coming from someone who went from a 30-person organization to over 300-plus organization. While we're still small, I think that scale is going to happen, and it's going to happen pretty rapidly, and I'm excited for it. There's a gap between what we're doing in the military and what's happening on the commercial side of the house. In order to bridge that gap, we have to continue to push the envelope. We talk about acquisition reform, we talk about moving faster and being more agile, but the reality is, if we're not actually doing those things and we're just talking about it, we're still gonna have that gap. And so you have to have the folks who are enablers and who push the envelope and who have the right connections to move fast and move forward. For us here at Space Camp, we have that. There's the relationships and the connectedness in the ecosystem that allow us to move faster. How do we compete with commercial industry who's paying engineers upwards of $500,000 a year for salary? And I think it really boils down to is you have to find the folks who are passionate and have, I would call it patriotism, to come and work and change the way that the DoD is doing things. And we've seen that, right? We've seen that with some senior leaders within the department, and we've seen it locally here in internal to Space Camp. We have folks who have given up lucrative salaries to come work with us. And so we have to continue to spread the message and the word on what we're doing and how we are changing the way that we do acquisitions and software development in the DoD. We talk about some of the great things that we're proud of when it comes to Space Camp. I think re-implementing the residency program has been huge for us. That residency program allows folks to come on board and experience our day-to-day operations and what we do at Space Camp, and have them rethink what operations actually looks like. And they take that goodness after they come to us for 6 months, and then they go back to their local organizations and they say, hey, we did this, at Space Camp for the last 6 months. Maybe we should think about changing the way that we implement some of our processes here, or maybe we should think about potentially partnering with Space Camp. And so that word of mouth campaign and the grassroots campaign has been huge and very successful, in my opinion, here at Space Camp. I think Supercoders is one of the most immediate valuable programs that the Space Force has. Us giving organic talent the ability to code and know how to deliver capability to warfighters is huge. Eventually we're going to start seeing some super coders who started out with the first cohort who are going to be general officers someday, right? And that's going to be hugely valuable because they're going to understand, like, hey, I know how traditional waterfall approaches to delivering agile or software development has been done in the past, but we can do it a better way. Right, and so I know we can because I've already experienced it. I've already been through the process with Space Camp. Yeah, I think it's going to be critical to the foundation of what the Air Space Force culture is going to be in the future. Culture is definitely one of the things that Space Camp gets right. It's inevitable that culture is going to change. Who is steering that culture and making sure that we're founded solely on the principles of what we believe in. Space Camp does a humongous, great job of all of those things, right? So we hone in on the psychological safety aspect of it. So making sure that everyone's voices are heard, there's no wrong answers, there's no dumb questions, ensuring that everyone understands that regardless of your rank or your experience, that you matter and you're valuable, right? The culture aspect is going to continue to be great at Space Camp, in my opinion, just because of the way that we're structured and the way that we're founded. If I come to work every day and I'm excited to be here and I know that, my opinion matters, I'm not just a rank and file guy who just has certain tasks that I have to do to complete the day and get through the day, I know that the output is going to be hugely more valuable, and at the end of the day, you're breeding a culture of success. The majority of folks that we talk to in their outbrief whenever they've done residencies with us or whenever they've gone through the Supercoder program has been like, yeah, I want to go back to Space Camp because I like the culture. I want to be there. That's what I want to do. And so, time and time again, I could share with you people who reach back out to me and are like, hey, how do I get an assignment to Space Camp? So it's been pretty cool. I think we need to take a huge look at how we've been delivering capability in the past, because no longer can we afford to say, hey, we're going to build the next weapon system, and it's going to be a 30-year process. We have to cut that in half. We definitely need to rethink our contracts. How are we contracting? Are we building 5-year contracts? Are we doing modular contracting to where, awarding multiple contracts with multiple vendors to increase the competition? And oh, by the way, incentivizing those contractors based off of their performance. The technologies that are out there today, especially, machine learning and artificial intelligence, the chat GPTs of the world, we really, really, really need to start seeing how do we get those commercial products into the government. I don't want to go out there and say we're going to build the next Skynet or anything like that. But if there's a capability out there that increases our performance and gives back time to our warfighters, we absolutely should take a look at that. We should be examining and exploring how to decrease the RMF process and the ATO process to get those products onto a government network faster instead of having to wait 6 months, a year, whatever it may be. So I think for folks who are coming on board to Space Camp, know that it's a great organization. The culture is phenomenal. The people are amazing. A lot of times I hear people talk about they're philanthropists. Hey, I'm gonna change the world one product at a time or whatever. But the reality is, working here at Space Camp, we are changing the world every day, right? The applications that we're building will change the world, right? The processes that we're implementing are going to change the world. They're going to change the way that the DoD does software delivery and expedite capabilities to the warfighter, bottom line. Immerse yourself, right? Get involved. If you've never been a part of a product team, or if you don't know what a scrum looks like, if you've never been to a daily stand-up, go experience those things. Learn how to code. Go join a supercoder cohort. Learn as much as you can, and then definitely maximize the benefits of being inside of the innovation ecosystem, because we have some great relationships with some other partners who are doing amazing things as well. I'm heading down to my next assignment, working for the Enterprise Talent Management Office, but I will still be a huge advocate and champion for Space Camp. I plan on partnering with Space Camp on all the stuff you have going on with Gravity, and hopefully, delivering value at scale to all of the Guardians within the Space Force. I look forward to that, and yeah, Space Camp I think will always have a special place in my heart, so appreciate it. But the bottom line is, if you want to change the world, this is the place to do it. Is that it?